This is MRN Out Loud, brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MRN Out Loud. Getting set to head to Pocono. Doubleheader action. Cup races on Saturday and Sunday. Also, ARCA Menard Series, the Camping World Truck Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It's a big weekend of racing in Pocono. We'll talk about all of it, but our first guest is Ross Chastain, the guy who's been making some noise lately on the Cup side with Chip Ganassi Racing. He has 3 top 7 finishes in his last 4 races and has jumped up 5 spots in the standings. We'll talk with him about that and the upcoming race this weekend. A little bit later on, William Byron, our normal senior preview correspondent, will be by to take a look at Pocono as well, the doubleheader, after experiencing that last year. And at the end of the program, we'll run down the full schedule for the Motor Racing Network this weekend. Stay with us. It's all ahead on MRN Out Loud.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Ross Chastain joins us now. He drives the number 42 McDonald's Chevrolet Camaros for Chip Ganassi Racing as we head to Pocono this weekend for back-to-back doubleheader type action. Now, Ross, before I ask you my first question, let me run through some numbers because it wasn't all that long ago that you were saying, man, we had a terrible start. But over the past several weeks, all you've done is top 7 in 3 out of the last 4. You won a stage at the All-Star Open to make it to the All-Star race and gained 5 spots in the standings since Talladega. What happened? What has turned around for you guys? Because it's been night and day, it seems like.
Yeah, Mr. Cain, the biggest thing is that we didn't change anything. We stayed on the same path. We knew what we were doing was right. It just, the results weren't there, and it's a humbling sport, right? You're working all week and you go and you race, and if you don't finish where you think you should or could have, or you see mistakes that were made on my part or the team, if we're too tight, we're too loose, whatever, it's humbling. So we didn't change our approach, we didn't change our preparation, and we just continued to plug away.
One of the things that you hear from drivers sometimes is we found something and we got a little bit better, but I have the impression that it's more like a dimmer switch than a light switch. It kind of slowly gets brighter. How have you experienced it?
Well, yeah, I've been hitting the switch, just the lights haven't been coming on. I've been sliding the dimmer up and down, but oh goodness, yes. Yeah, it takes, this stuff's hard. And this Cup Series, yeah, I've been in it and I've heard people say it, but I didn't even believe it about myself. But like, I am in such a different position this year, driving this 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing and representing our partners and sponsors that we have, and then competing at this level, is all aspects of it are different. And the requirements to even just compete at the minimum level, are such a high level. These guys, they're here for a reason, and trying to elevate to that is hard, and trying to perform on track like that is hard.
I remember several years ago, it was toward the end of the season, and you came onto the MRN truck. Kyle, Ricky, and I were there, and I was thinking, man, I'm looking for some content for the offseason. All these drivers are going to disappear. I'm not going to get them. And you were the guy. You walked on board, and we did one of our podcasts with you and talked about it. And at that time, I didn't know a whole lot about you. You were just starting out in your career at the national level. So I'm wondering now, what would the guy who just gave me that answer a second ago go back and tell that kid, if he could, about what's coming?
Yeah, I don't know what I would say. Well, I mean, really don't, just like I said about this year, but just don't change what you're doing. Just keep walking in those doors. I mean, as silly as it sounds, most guys won't just go walk in the MRN truck. They won't walk up to a team president or a team owner and introduce themselves, or a crew chief, a car chief. Those are really the guys that I've, tried to get to know and just genuinely have conversations with. Actually, this weekend, after the race, my crew chief Phil Surgeon was asking me, or some officials had came by and just congratulated me and shook my hand and good job. And he, after about the 4th one did it, we're standing there in tech, and he said, how how do you know all these officials? And I was like, well, I've been driving motorhomes and for other people and my own for years. And a lot of these officials double duty as motorhome drivers for the bigwigs of NASCAR and different people. There's a lot of fifth wheels that get pulled around this country for high up NASCAR officials, and the real true officials that are on the boots on the ground, like I was, when I was coming up through the ranks, they're driving these things. And so we just, Thursday night load-in day, in a DO lot for the motorhomes is where I met a lot of these people. So I would just tell them, keep going, don't change. And if nothing else, like if you never make it to Cup, it's okay. Like it's still a really good life and you're doing what you love. So I knew that all along. I was like, man, if I can find a way to stay in this sport, I'm never going to work.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's the thing is longevity. If you're there, it's like a must be present to win thing for sure. Let's talk a little bit about this weekend coming up at Pocono, the doubleheader. You didn't do this last year, but now we're in a situation where you ran the Xfinity race. We're runner up there. What are you thinking about this in terms of, my gosh, the schedule is very compressed and we got to keep that same car together for both days, or we're going to have to start in the back? I imagine there are a million thoughts flying through your mind and your teams as well.
There is, and you're right, there is high risk. But with the matrix of starting position anymore, if you do crash, you pretty much have to start in the back at the next race. But I've done the double at Pocono. It was just the truck and Xfinity, two different series, but it was still similar. We have more laps in this one, but Pocono's not exactly it's not normally very hot there, and it's not exactly physically challenging laps because you have such a long recovery time down each straightaway. So the Cup cars or especially our 42 car this year, they do an incredible job of keeping me cool in the seat. I usually get hotter actually after the race. So when I get out of the car, I'm like, oh man, it's hot out here. I've been pretty good inside.
Let's talk a little bit about your teammate, Kurt Busch, because I think folks who haven't had an opportunity to sit down with him don't realize that he's practically an encyclopedia. He probably knows more about these cars, has forgotten more than most people will ever know. What's it been like getting to know him and work with him this year?
You are exactly right. He's forgotten more than I've ever learned. And I've told him that. And it's also not fair. Like him and his brother have incredible genes. Like they have that just driver extra little bit built into him. And I've told him in debriefs and just in talking to him, like, it's not fair, man. You're just good. Like, and he's done this so long. Like he's been running in the Cup Series longer than I've raced in my entire life. And
you started like when you were 12 or something.
I started when I was 12 years old in 2005, and he was in 2001 running in the Cup Series. So he's led laps in the Coke 600 on 7 cylinders before I ever ran a car. And like just hearing those stories and those, like he has, race car drivers, the really good things and the really bad things we remember. And so he remembers having a shot to win the Coke 600 and losing a cylinder and like still leading laps down a cylinder until he had to pit. And so that's the biggest thing. And then he can articulate his feelings, like his feeling in the car, what he feels with the right front to the left front, to the rear, to the ride quality, just like all the different things in the car and how he describes it in a team meeting has just opened my eyes to a vocabulary that is not natural to me. I'm a tight and loose guy, and I'm going to describe the corner of the car that I'm struggling with and the one that's working the best and in the feel. But he just can describe it in a way that a group of people that are typing on their laptops, everything they say, when he talks, they halfway through, they start nodding their head and you can sit there typing, but they're thinking and it's starting to click for them. And then they can go into simulation world and they can go into everything we have, all of our tools to build these setups, and they can help alleviate the problems he's having. And my analysis of the cars are still a little calmer and a little more bare bones.
Whatever gets the job done. He was one of the guys, or has been one of the guys, that NASCAR's leaned on a little bit for the next gen testing. And I understand you're going to get your swing at it here coming up pretty soon with NASCAR and Goodyear at Dover. What are your initial thoughts about that car and what it's going to mean for next year? Because it almost seems like, and I want to know if you feel the same way, like starting over.
Yeah, well, I'm actually at our Chevrolet GM simulator right now at Pratt Miller, and I literally at 2 o'clock I got off the rig and ran in here with my laptop to talk to you. Um, it's it's different, and that was my first time. I had to ask him which way was an upshift because nobody's told me. I said, okay, it's sequential, I know that, but is up shifts forward or are they back? And it's like it's backwards, and I was like, well, okay. Yeah, I've sat in the car. I've gotten my seat in it. Um, so through HMS, through Hendrick, they're the ones that operated. And yeah, we'll be up there next week or coming up at Dover, and it's going to be different. It was different to drive on track. It was really rough, and we worked through some setup changes to help alleviate that. But Dover's a rough place. It was really rough when we just ran there in the Cup cars, our current car, just a month or two ago. So yeah, I got a lot to learn, but I'm looking forward to it because I know Kurt learned a lot, and just having that first try at it, I think will just ease a lot of the jitters I have about it, because once you drive it, it's still going to be a race car. It's going to be a little different to drive.
Yeah, and everybody's in the same boat. They all got to learn it from scratch pretty much starting for next year. Well, let's wrap up with this, Ross. After Pocono, you head to Road America, where you do have some experience in the Xfinity side. I think top 10 the last 2 times you raced there. What are your thoughts on taking a Cup car to Road America? That's going to be pretty crazy. It's got to be just like a world apart from the Xfinity car.
Yeah, I mean, really from our laps this year, I never ran an Xfinity car obviously at COTA or Sonoma, but I did get to run an Xfinity car at COTA, and so I do have that back to back from the 07 car with Bobby Dotter and Joe Graff. But it really, before the season, I thought my best road course race might be Road America because, like you said, I have a handful of starts there in the Xfinity car, and a lot of Cup guys don't. And I felt like in the 10 car with colleague racing last year, I felt like we took a big step at that race. And truth be told, we've ran really good at Sonoma and COTA, and I was like, man, like now I'm really excited. We'll probably go to Road America and be terrible, but that's how NASCAR usually goes. Just as you think you start figuring something out, because it all goes the other direction. But road courses this year, I really have just been reacting in the car, and I haven't really been very proactive with my driving, which has worked, but I want to know why it's working. And on the ovals and Nashville and different places, I felt like I knew I had a plan going in, and I drove the car a certain way, and it worked or it didn't, and I adapted. But road course, I truly just react every lap and every corner. And so Road America will be hopefully a hybrid of that. And yeah, I was making laps this morning at Road America in our simulator, man. It's trying to be ready.
It's going to be fun to watch for sure. It always has been in the Xfinity series. Well, Ross, we appreciate your time and good luck this weekend at Pocono.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Cain.
There you go. Ross Chastain. Watch for him this weekend in that number 42 car. We'll be right back with more.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Pocono hosting a doubleheader again this year, similar to what we did last year, consecutive days. Last year, you were 14th and 7th. Did you learn something in that first day that helped you the next day? I mean, we all know how quickly the weather can change there, so it might throw a wrench into your notes.
Oh, most definitely. I feel like we learned a lot in that first race that applied to the second one. And, I feel like we're on the right track. At Pocono, we just have to kind of get a little bit better. And that's honestly a place that Rudy and I have had a lot of success. So I'm not too worried about it. I feel like, having 2 races there might be a great opportunity for us.
When you race a track like that, the old cliche was, well, you got to give up something somewhere. You can't be good in all 3 corners. Can you? Is that possible? Or do you have to sacrifice a little bit?
No, I think modern day NASCAR, you have to be good in all of them. So it's modern day NASCAR with engineering and all those things kind of throws all that out the window and some of those old cliches. But I think for us, we're focused on, trying to be really good in turn 3 and good in the other ones and pretty much really good in the other ones too. So I feel like, hopefully we can have that combination.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
That's all the time we've got on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. Don't forget a big weekend coming up on the Motor Racing Network. We kick things off on Friday evening, 6 o'clock Eastern time, the start for the General Tire Anywhere is Possible 200. ARCA Menards Series action, 6 o'clock Friday. Then on Saturday, the CRC Brake Clean 150, 11:30 Eastern time in the Camping World Truck Series. Then on Saturday, the first of 2 cup races, the PoconoOrganics.com 325 on the Motor Racing Network, followed by Sunday action, another doubleheader there, the Pocono Green 225 recycled by JP Mascaro and Sons. That's 11:30 Eastern time on Sunday. And then the main event Sunday, the Pocono Explore the Pocono Mountains 350. That comes your way 2:30 Eastern on Sunday afternoon. All that's on the Motor Racing Network. Hit up MRN.com to check out complete details about the upcoming schedule. We want to thank Ross Chastain and William Byron for being with us this week, and we'll see you right back here next week.